What is good, Cheifs Kingdom? Welcome in to Cheifs Latest. It's your host, Calvin Silvers. Happy Friday. We finally made it to the weekend, and we're going to get things kicked off on the right foot because we're going over two free agent options that the Chiefs could continue to pursue, even with that limited cap space. Also, this tight end room, it's a little banged up right now, so the Chiefs had to pivot and sign an undrafted free agent. We'll go over who that is here in just a moment, and we're going to wrap up today's show with a viewer comment on over from our YouTube community. Plenty to dive into. It's going to be a lot of fun. But before we do, you guys know the drill. If you're not a part of the Cheifs Latest family, well, now is the perfect time to join. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications because I have daily, that's right, daily videos here on Cheifs Latest, Monday through Friday. And I don't want you to miss any of the news, rumors, or actions regarding this Kansas City Chiefs team. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, as it not only helps me in the channel, but it's going to help you stay up to date with everything Kansas City Chiefs. So when I've been bringing up these big name additions like Stephon Diggs, people continue to go down in the comment section and point to the no money narrative, which is fair because the Chiefs really don't have that much money to play with when it comes to the cap room. But contracts like Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, those are the most logical to, restructure or extend to open up some space. But what if the Chiefs don't want to do that right now? Well, that's what today's focus is when it comes to the Chiefs Latest. We're going to stay on the cheaper, realistic veteran options because you guys love to keep pointing out the no money narrative. So if the Chiefs are still exploring those cheap veteran options, it has to either be with a pass rusher or a wide receiver. And I've begged the Chiefs to look at six-time Pro Bowler Keenan Allen because he's a realistic, low-cost wide receiver target that's in an ongoing rumor cycle here in Kansas City. And he's been linked to the Chiefs once again in an article by Alex Kennedy. Now, Allen enters his 14th season in the NFL. What would he bring to the Chiefs? Well, mentorship, leadership, and a steady wide receiver production, something that this current wide receiver room truly lacks. Who's going to step up and be that mentor, that leader? Rashee Rice? Xavier Worthy? Tyquan Thornton? Jalen Royals? No, nobody is. Juju Smith-Schuster maybe could have been that for you, but he's gone now. I would think that Kansas City would realistically need Allen to play 14-plus games minimum, and the major concern that everyone loves to bring up is his injury history. But last season, he played all 17 regular season games. And since 2017, even though he has this narrative around him, he's consistently played 13 to 17 games each season. The only exception was back in 2022 where he played 10 games. However, he still had 700 yards, over 700 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He has heavy slot usage. So now you're probably wondering, well, Calvin, how's that going to work when Rashee Rice already has the starting slot receiver spot locked up? Well, I don't think it's that big of a worry. Allen and Ladd McConkey both operated heavily in the slot in LA, but McConkey was able to stay on the field quite a bit, 78% of snap share. There was a similar usage back in Chicago when he played with DJ Moore. DJ Moore still played 80% of snaps. So the flexibility matters because with Rashee Rice, you don't know if he's going to be available every week. That's just what happens when you have him on your team. Allen's route running, his defensive recognition, it remains elite level traits. He functions as a reliable chain mover. He's a stabilizer in the passing game. With Rice, Worthy, Allen, I'm not going to say it creates a three-headed monster, but I would say it creates a three-headed beast, or it could create a three-headed beast. Listen, he's a cheap veteran wide receiver option worth serious consideration. I really don't know why you wouldn't want to bring Keenan Allen onto this team. He's especially useful if Rice misses time because he is so heavily involved in the slot. It's a high floor addition, leadership value, scheme fit. Guys, this is what the Chiefs need to do if they want to bring in a veteran cheap wide receiver. But what about rotational edge help? That's another area that the Chiefs need to attack. And Kyle Van Noy, he represents a veteran low-cost pass rush option. Again, you guys might not be liking some of these names I'm bringing up, but you want me to keep it cheap here. 35-year-old edge defender. He was most recently with Baltimore the past 3 seasons. Okay, he wasn't effective last season, I'll give you that, but he's not too far removed from a Pro Bowl selection. Back in 2024, he posted 14 tackles for loss, 12 and a half sacks. As you can probably guess, that was a career high. So his role and skill set in this Kansas City defense, well, he's a veteran. So his processing of blocking schemes, it's at a pretty high level. He can function as the cleanup man on broken plays. He's not a pure one-on-one pass rush winner anymore. That's not in his game. But his best usage when it comes to Spag's system, simulated pressures, delayed blitz packages, rotational snaps rather than a full-time edge role. That's not what he would get here, but rotationally, I think he could be fine because of his late career resurgence. His first career Pro Bowl, again, came at the age of 33, 12 and a half sacks, that career high. His previous career high was 9 sacks, but that was only back in 2023. So he's one of the few edge defenders to break out late career in that kind of fashion. But again, last year was not as effective. His run defense, 76.7 PFF run defense grade. That was 13th out of 115 edge defenders last season. So he still provides that edge setting value just beyond a pass rush. Spot Rack estimates him to have a $3.5 million market value. That fits exactly into this bargain veteran category that Kansas City kind of has to follow. High IQ depth piece, situational pass rush value, cheap enough to justify a primary edge target's fall through. That's what I think here. Again, I wouldn't be going after him heavily. I would probably rather bring in Keenan Allen. But if you do need some edge help or want someone to mentor R. Mason Thomas, he might be cheap enough to bring in. And based on how he has been late in his career, still might have a little bit left in the tank. Well, this Chiefs tight end room, uncertainty, it's following it right now because they're a little banged up. We'll dive into that a little bit more. But because they're so banged up, the Chiefs signed 6'7", 260-pound tight end Mason Pline. He was signed as an emergency camp body competition, piece. I'm not expecting him to make the 53-man roster. That's going to be a uphill battle. But right now, the Chiefs need him. He has spent time with both the 49ers and Saints organization, but don't get too excited. He has no NFL snaps recorded to date. So why would the Chiefs bring him in? Well, Jake Brenningstool, he was reportedly banged up during OTAs. Again, these are reported by Chiefs reporters out there during these practices, but he returned from minicamp. Undrafted free agent John Michael Gillenborg, who we talked about right here on Chiefs Latest, from Pete Sweeney, said that he was seen working without a helmet, so he was a limited participant. Noah Gray, he's coming off a down year, 178 yards and 0 touchdowns. And what is your tight end 3 production going to look like? It's going to remain unclear, inconsistent. Jared Wiley, you expect him to show up? I don't know about that. Pline, he brings a basketball background to his style of play. He actually played basketball in college before he transferred to football. And when he played in college, he used that size to box out defenders, high point contested catches, and just track the ball over smaller defensive backs. Of course, he needs some development. He must improve his blocking technique if he wants to see any shot at making the 53-man roster, because that's going to determine whether he's useful here in the NFL, useful here in Kansas City. So he's likely a camp body unless he drastically outperforms expectations. And at that point, I'm fine with that. And you know what? He might put up some competition with some of the guys in this room. Jared Wiley, Jake Brenningstool, you never know. Intriguing size profile that he brings in, but extremely raw as a football player. So any roster value would be a surprise. It's just not expected from him. I think they're just bringing him right now because they're a little banged up, but that's all right here. And we're going to end today's show with a viewer comment from our YouTube community at Wayne Highland 4119, and he raises some clarification on the Rashee Rice legal situation. And I'm bringing this up because Wayne believes that people are either exaggerating or misrepresenting the details to garner attention here. I'm not trying to do that, so I want to make sure we're all on the same page when it comes to Rashee Rice and what's currently going on. It's important to separate the court sentence details from the NFL disciplinary actions that could happen. Now, Wayne argues that Rice's 30-day sentence is part of the crash-related plea. The claim is unrelated to marijuana, and he's correct, as Rice's plea agreement included 5 years probation and a 30-day jail sentence as part of the agreement, and that 30 days could be served at different times during the probation window. Had the probation not been violated by smoking weed, if he had been responsible, he would have had some flexibility when to serve that 30 days. He could have chose a time when there wasn't many football activities going on, or possibly not right after a surgery. So the current situational update, it's not a separate marijuana criminal case. I don't believe probation-related THC test would trigger NFL substance policy automatically. The NFL discipline angle That's the key issue. The NFL does not need a separate conviction to issue punishment. The league can act under their personal conduct policy. The primary concern is, when it comes to Rashee Rice, is the repeat behavioral issues classification. Prior suspension history already exists for him. He has that 6-game suspension. So the NFL could come in, lay the hammer down, because Rashee Rice is clearly not learning his lesson. So even without the substance policy violation, the NFL can still investigate underlying conduct. The league could argue that Rice keeps putting himself in avoidable situations. So Wayne is correct that this is not automatically a marijuana-related suspension case. However, that does not remove the NFL personal conduct policy risk. So the outcome depends on how the NFL looks at repeat offender behavior. And that is what Rashee Rice could face that upcoming suspension. Well, that is all that I have for you guys on this lovely Friday. Go ahead and get out there and enjoy your weekend. But before you do, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. And if you want more Cheifs Latest, if you want to take your questions, opinions to all forms of our social medias, well, you're in luck. We are on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast. All you have to do is look up at Cheifs Latest. Give us a 5-star review, a like, a comment, a favorite, whatever you guys can do to show your appreciation. I always appreciate the support. Once again, I am your host, Calvin Silvers. Have a safe and enjoyable weekend. And until next time, have a good one.